Hi guys, I'm Howie with Hobie Fishing, and I'm going to show you how to outfit your iSeries Hobie kayak with a FishFinder using one of our FishFinder installation kits. Hobie's created a handful of FishFinder installation kits depending on the application, but this one is specifically meant for the iSeries kayaks and features a smaller, lightweight lithium battery as well as an extension arm that mounts directly to your Vantage seat, allowing you to mount your FishFinder to that. Unboxing your iSeries FishFinder installation kit, you'll find a Naqua lithium battery. This is a really lightweight battery option that velcros to the back of the Vantage CT seat and is perfect for the inflatable kayaks. You'll also find the extension arm that's included. This is a ram mount extension arm that mounts directly to your seat and gets the FishFinder out in front of you, preventing you from having to look down to view the head unit. The other key component is Hobie's rudder-ready transducer mount kit. This kit is available as a standalone, and it allows you to mount your transducer to any twist and stow style rudder. In the Naqua lithium battery box comes one component cable for attaching the Lowrance power cable to the battery. We've also provided an extension cable if you need a little bit of extra length to reach either end of the kayak. The first step in the installation procedure involves loosely assembling the rudder-ready mount to the transducer. Once you've done that, you can fit it to the rudder and begin drilling your holes and doing the install. So these reinforced rubber washers will go over the pegs on each half of the rudder-ready mount. You'll fit that to the transducer and use the longer bolt included with the kit. I like to hold the nylock nut in place with my finger as I tension down the screw just slightly. So just a light assembly. If you need to back it out a little bit, that's fine. You do need to leave a small gap here to accommodate the width of the rudder. The ideal way to sit your transducer cable is to tuck it into the gap that's provided between the two halves of the rudder ready mount. That way, the transducer cable can run along the spine of the rudder before you tuck it along the deck nicely. Before you drill any holes in the rudder to mount the rudder ready kit, you will want to mock up the position of the rudder mount, and I like to make sure that when it's mounted that the bottom of the transducer here is slightly higher than the bottom of the rudder. This will provide transducer protection in the event that you run into an obstacle such as a sunken log or an oyster bed. One tip I have for mounting the rudder mount assembly is to mock up the placement of your rudder mount, hold it in place, and then drill out with a 532 bit the aft hole, put the screw through, mount it, and then come back, drill out the hole for the forward hole, and finish up fastening the assembly to the rudder. So go ahead and create the first hole here. Fasten it to the rudder using the longer screw included in the kit. Use a 532 bit again to create the second hole. Put the shorter 832 screw included in the kit through that hole you created. Again, hold the nylock nut in place and fasten it down. I like to finish the rudder mount assembly with the drill set on a relatively low clutch to make sure that you don't spin the nylock nuts inside the molded in inserts. To secure the transducer cable to the back of the rudder, you're going to want to create two evenly spaced 3/16 holes for the zip ties. During this step of the installation, it's really critical that you make sure the rudder is clear of the hole so you don't accidentally pierce the hole with the drill. pull it through and tighten it down. Not too tight, but just tight enough to hold the cable in place. Use a pair of wire cutters to clip the tag end. We've included zip ties in the kit for cleanly running your transducer cable along the deck of the Inflatable Series kayak up toward the seat. You can use the zip ties to attach the cable to the D-rings so the cable doesn't slide around. But the most important part is that you leave slack at the top of the rudder in the transducer cable so that the twist and stow rudder can operate unhindered. Once I've got the rudder cable all mounted up to the transducer, next I like to assemble the Ram FishFinder mount extension arm and attach it to the seat. The Ram extension arm will mount to a 1.5-inch ball which is attached to the leg of the seat. It does take some assembly, but it's pretty straightforward. Mount the 1.5-inch socket to the end of the extension arm. Now you'll want to attach the 1.5-inch ram ball to the seat leg. There are some spacers included in the kit. I like to use the one with the number 90 on the back, and there's a small recess built into each half of the ball mount. So you just plug that right in there, and that'll help it fit the seat a little bit better. Also included with the assembly is a friction enhancing rubber strip that you can actually tape using the adhesive backing to the seat leg. That'll help give your ram ball a little bit of extra security when mounted on the seat. Make sure the surface is nice and clean. Ram's included the essential hardware with the kit. You'll use an Allen key and tighten down the two halves of the torque mount. The Aqua lithium battery is packaged with all the wiring components for splicing their plug onto the Lowrance power cable. We've also included some extra wire connectors for attaching the fuse in line. We've got our Lowrance power cable laid out. It's very important that the fuse splices in line with the red wire coming from the Lowrance power cable to the red wire coming from the Aqua plug. Insert the red wire in to the butt connector. Insert the fuse wire into the other end of the butt connector. Make your crimp. And also, again, making sure that it's red wire to red wire. The wire connectors included with the Aqua Pro Power lithium battery are a heat shrink adhesive lined connection. So you can either use a lighter or a heat gun to cinch up the heat shrink on these connections. When you're heating the heat shrink tubing, you want to make sure that you go from the center of the tube out toward the outer edges. That way you get a nice clean finish on the heat shrink. Next, connect the black ground wire coming from the Lowrance power cable to the black ground wire coming from the Aqua plug. For this, you're going to use the Hobie waterproof connectors. You'll notice you'll pop a gel pack that'll allow dielectric grease to coat the entire connection, waterproofing the wires. I like to double over the wire and tidy things up with one of the included zip ties. Once you've got your component wire connected to the battery, you can coil up all the wire and tuck it neatly inside the battery pouch. Once everything's wired up and I know exactly how much cable I'm going to need to reach the components, I'll coil up the extra transducer cable and just tidy it up with a zip tie. Now that you've completed your iSeries FishFinder installation, you've got a really clean and simple system that allows you to fully adjust the head unit positioning for easy viewing. You're also capable of easily removing the head unit and battery components for packing away separately from the kayak. This whole outfit still conveniently packs into the original rolling bag that comes with the kayak, allowing for easy transport.